Star Fox. A word that when said aloud, most people will think of Star Fox games. Some of the real giga-chads out there might even think of Star Fox Month. But 9 times out of 10, when you say the word Star Fox, comic books and manga don't really come to mind. Now, for those that are really into the franchise, you'll probably be quick to point out the Nintendo Power comic and the manga Farewell Beloved Falco. Both of these are great examples of very well-known alternative mediums of Star Fox. In fact, they're probably the most well-known manga and comic of Star Fox ever. But what if I were to tell you that there's more than just those two? In fact, there's an entire slew of manga and comics all related to Star Fox. So guys, get ready to set your G diffusers to max, because we're gonna rock and roll into the lost mangas and comics of Star Fox. And make sure and stay until the end, because I've got a huge surprise for those that make it all the way through. So without further ado, let's begin. Alright, here's how things are going to work. We're going to start off by going through the more well-known comics and manga, and slowly work our way down to the far more obscure ones. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start off with probably the most well-known out of the bunch, the Star Fox Nintendo Power comic. Now, this comic was aptly named Star Fox, and it was mainly a part of the Nintendo Power Hour magazine line. Publication first began in 1993, and it told the tale of the SNES-styled Star Fox stories. Now, this ran from February 1993 until December 1993, and had a grand total of 132 pages. Now, this was the very first comic adaptation of this entire story, and it was pretty damn in-depth. And it was the first and only look into the Star Fox universe. We get to see the Fox team when it first starts off, we get to see them take on Andross and his armies, and even in this comic line, we even get to see a crazy story between Andross and an evil clone of him. Now, as far as the art goes, it's not too terribly amazing. There are definitely some very weird panels, but it definitely gives off that more puppet scratchy-like vibe that the original promotional art gave off. Alright, now let's move on to something that more of you probably are already very well aware of. Farewell Beloved Falco takes place between Star Fox 64 and Star Fox Adventures, which tells the tale on why Falco was no longer with the Star Fox team in Star Fox Adventures. This manga was released in 2002 with a grand total of 64 beautifully well-drawn pages. However, there was sadly never an official English translation, though thankfully, fans came in for the save on that one. Farewell Beloved Falco is, for all intents and purposes, the far more loved and more well-known alternative medium of Star Fox. Not only does it have some absolutely banger art, some great character interactions, and some genuinely hilarious panels, Farewell Beloved Falco is just an absolute love letter to both the characters and the franchise in general. This manga also introduced us to the idea of possibly a clone Andross art, as well as introducing us to Captain Shears, which is a villain that was only ever seen in this manga. And he's kind of a dick and he rides a pig, which is really fucking weird. Honestly, I would kill to get a physical version of this. It looks absolutely amazing, the art is fantastic, and it's just a really cool, lovable piece of Star Fox history. Alright, now we're gonna get into the weird stuff. This one is called the Star Fox Mission File Printout. This was a Japanese strategy guide tie-in released in 1993 for the Super Famicom title Star Fox. Now, the Star Fox Mission printout actually features art which is identical to the Power comic art. Now, the Star Fox Mission File printout, though might have the same art style as the Western version of the Star Fox Power comic, but it actually is an extension to the storyline, as well as different from the one that we saw on the Western side. The mission printout pretty much details the mission that happened before the actual events of the Star Fox franchise. It talks about 2 previous members that worked alongside James McCloud, or Fox Sr., that went missing. Both of them had modified R-Wings that were called M-Scouters, which had some pretty cool designs. All in all, it features that same very old school nostalgic art of the Nintendo Power comics, and it's only a handful of panels, but it's still a cool little treat nonetheless. Now, we're finally going to be moving on to the last well-known, as well as the last one with a lot of information, Star Fox comic. Now, this comic was known as the Lylat Wars comic. It was a German comic that was released and created in 1997. This was pretty much to retell the entire storyline of Star Fox 64 in an abridged version. Now, the comic did show some scenes that were not present in the game. For instance, there's one where Wolf actually kicks Andrew and Pigma out of Star Wolf, which is something very interesting because that actually explains why they were missing and not in the Wolf team back in Star Fox, or well, forward in the Star Fox Assault game. The Lylat Wars comic had a grand total of 35 pages. The art is absolutely adorable, and it sees our characters actually go through each of the major planets in the Star Fox 64 game. Though it's not the longest comic in the world, it's still pretty adorable. This comic features some absolutely adorable art, great character interactions, some amazing fight scenes, and probably one of the most imposing Andross spreads I have ever seen in my life. Like, my man looked like he about to kill somebody. All in all, the German Lylat Wars is pretty adorable and just an absolute joy to read through. Thankfully, there is a fan translation of this one, and reading through it, it's an absolute joy. Now we're getting to the ones that I highly doubt that you've actually ever heard of. This one is called the starfox, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this. I am so sorry. This is called the starfox Dengeki Pakken Guide comic. Though it's not super long, it was a part of a 2 short comic panel included in the Japanese Star Fox guidebook. And it probably has one of the most badass fucking versions of Falco I have ever seen. My boy Falco looks imposing and sexy. I mean, what? The art here is absolutely amazing, though there is something very seriously wrong with my boy General Pepper. Like, what the fuck happened to you? The comic was released in 1992, and I honestly love it to death. It's cute, it's small, it's adorable, and I fucking love it. The comic features showing each of the characters, as well as giving a brief introduction to them. It also has this really funny panel where it shows General Pepper consistently saying good luck after every mission, and Fox yells at him saying, "Can you do something useful?" Now, I wanted to sit on this one for a bit because I'm a very big fan of this and I absolutely love it. This is the Star Fox Adventures manga. Well, kinda manga. This was called the 4-Kami Gag Battle. It was released in 2003, and it had some absolutely beautiful art. Now, unlike most mangas that you see nowadays, this one is actually kinda special. At least for me, I've never seen anything like this. There were a grand total of 127 pages of this manga, and what was cute is that the manga read with a tiny short gag story through the left and right. So on the left side would be a set of panels going from top to bottom with a title on the top that had a joke. And the second panel would do the same thing. One of these, for example, was called Mistake, where Fox puts the wrong fang in the wrong tooth, and it completely botches everything. This also has some amazing art of Crystal, some great art of General Scales, tons of amazing funny gags all throughout, and it's just an absolute joy to read. Thankfully, though it's not easy to find, there is a fan English translation, the full thing translated, at least I believe it's the full thing, and I loved reading through it, and the art is super cute. I don't care what you say, I genuinely laughed at a lot of these gags because Star Fox Adventures is my goddamn game. It's my favorite game of all time, my favorite Star Fox game, I love it to death, and this, just having that extra bit of Star Fox Adventures content along with Farewell Falco, oh, I love it! Now, moving on from Star Fox Adventures, the next one I want to talk about is called the Star Fox 64 for Coma Manga Theater. Now, this for Coma Star Fox 64 comic strip set released in 1997. This is another strip-like comic like the previous one, where there's a grand total of 4 panels that tell a whole joke, while also having a title up to the top. The setup is identical to the Star Fox Adventures ones, and honestly, there looks like a lot of funny jokes in here. At least the paneling is pretty cute, and I love it. And though, sadly, this one is not translated to English, a lot of the context can be kind of deciphered through just the images alone. Also, I do want to point out one more strip that I just really like here. It literally has Fox just chilling in the Landmaster driving down the street, and they hit what I'm assuming is a stoplight. And he gets mad and he blows it the fuck up, and then he gets in trouble, and I love it to death, man. I need a translation. Now, this next one is kind of small and not really all that special. This one came out in 2016 and was actually a Star Fox Zero promo comic of all things. But comic is a pretty strong word for this, as it only features a grand total of 8 panels altogether, with one part being 4 panels and another part being 4 panels. Kind of akin to the 4-Como gag battle comic strips. There's only 2 parts to this. The first part shows the Star Fox team being, you know, told about how they're the greatest in the galaxy and they'll take on any job. And then it ends with a joke where they're like, even a comedy club. So there's that. And then the second one shows where they're going through their past, showing old baby pictures. And it shows that Slippy Toad used to be a tadpole. That's it. So, yay! Now, the next one I want to tell you about is one that I actually wasn't able to find that much information on. This is called Dream Drunker Comics. Now, since there wasn't really a lot of information on the Dream Drunker comic, I had to take it upon myself using the Google Translator image app to try and gain at least some kind of understanding of this comic. And let me tell you, it gets fucking weird. So from my understanding, this comic is actually these characters, both Bowser, Link, Zelda, and the Star Fox team, taking place in a Star Wars pod racing race. Bowser has Fox and Falco strap his little chariot to their R-Wings to drag him across, and it is so fucking weird. And at the end of the race, it seems that Bowser tries to cheat and blast some people with laser fire, but it doesn't work out, and Link and Zelda still win the race. And it seems like that's what this entire comic is. It has this entire, like, dream-like idea of what if these characters had this interaction. In fact, the very next one is about Kirby and Fox and Falco being together. It's really weird. And there's even another one, which is my favorite one, where a baby Bowser actually interacts with James McCloud. And James McCloud looks like a goddamn badass. The comic actually ends with baby Bowser and all of his minions helping James McCloud escape the desert that he got stranded on by fixing up his ship with this new Koopa engine, where he then flies off and tells this bullet bill buddy of little baby Bowser, and he tells him to say thank you. It's actually really, really cute and probably one of my favorite random weird stories. Like, I love it to death. Now, the translation that I have is pretty rough, so a lot of it doesn't quite make sense as far as the text goes, but that is the general basis of a lot of these panels. Now, from the archive that I've actually found this on, it seems that this was released right around 1997. And besides the archive, I wasn't actually able to find any direct information on Dream Drunker. I tried searching by the title of the author, I tried searching by the title of the comic, and I found Jack Diddley Squat. If you guys know more about this information, where I can find out about it, I'd more than appreciate it. Please let me know in the comments below. But that is all I was able to really find on this really weird, super obscure and out there comic. Now, we are reaching the end of all the comics that we have here, but I left the coolest and weirdest ones for last. First, we have this cute, adorable one called Star Fox 64. It was by Takiro Yamazaki, I believe. I might have pronounced that horribly wrong, I am sorry. It ran from April 1997 to June 1997 in the Bitsuru Korokoro. I am sorry, I probably butchered that name, my bad. And it was effectively the cutesy antics with the Star Fox crew. It has some absolutely adorable chibi art with all of these characters, and I love it to absolute death. Now, the specific one I'm showing off here is from the April Korokoro comic. Now, this one shows some absolutely adorable antics in the Star Fox 64 franchise, both with, and again, sadly, there is no English translation, but it does show one where Falco and Fox are getting married, and Fox is in a dress. It also has some absolutely adorable little action scenes, and even ones where it cuts for them looking like they're getting serious to riding a little merry-go-round with Falco looking like he's about to throw up. It is just absolutely adorable, and I love the art here with such a passion. It is insane. Now, going along with the same comic line, there was actually another one released in June. This one, again, was a part of the Star Fox 64 line, which told more tales of the Star Fox crew and their general antics. It has some cute panels with Fox going on a little moped, floating car. It's adorable. It has ones where Fox is wearing a dress, and it is some absolutely insane bullshit, I swear to God. Again, sadly, there is no English translation of this, and I really wish there was, because the panels that we have here are absolutely adorable, and I honestly just want to know what the hell is happening. Now, there's even one where it looks like there's like a new villain almost, with this crazy big-brained bad guy, and they all hop into the same R-Wing as the rest of them are being destroyed, and they fly off together. It is just super, super cool. Now, yes, I did try and use the same Google Translate method that I used for the Drunk Dreamer comic, but it completely backfired. It is not able to decipher any of this text coherently, and it just gives me a bunch of random gibberish as a translation, so I had to kind of totally guess based on context with what's happening in the imagery, rather than rely on any of the text. So we'll just have to hope that in the future we get an English translation from the fans. Now, if you thought that was the end of it, you'd be wrong, because there was another one released for the Spring Vacation Jumbo Special. This one actually features an entirely different art style from the previous two that we saw before. And honestly, I fucking love it. The art here is absolutely adorable and gives us some serious anime vibes. Like, I want this so bad in my life. This specific comic was actually based on the SNES Star Fox, where the previous two were based on Star Fox 64. Just like the previous ones, it features some amazing art, some beautiful spreads of the Fox crew, as well as some absolutely amazing action scenes with some of the coolest R-Wing shots I have ever seen. Hell, even Pepper looks like just a fucking Chad. Look at this man. And I never thought I'd be happy to see fucking Fox McCloud's dad, at least I'm assuming it's his dad, in a goddamn uniform. My God. Again, just like the previous two, there is no English translation for this, which really does suck. More so than any of the others. We even get to see Fox battle Andros, and that is just absolutely dope as hell, as Fox desperately fights against this monarch. And honestly, he looks scary as fuck in this thing. Now, this entire comic does retell the events in SNES Star Fox, and of course, he does win the day, flies off, and we get this amazing final spread of Fox and his entire crew, and it is just so goddamn cool. Now, we finally have reached the very last Star Fox manga. This one was a part of the same exact comic line as all the previous ones, this one just titled Star Fox. This was a one-off manga by Tayoko Okiya, published in 1993 for the spring break edition of this comic line. It was never reprinted, sadly, and it is a damn shame because it has some of the absolute shocking and vibrant art I have ever seen. This one, just like the others as well, sadly does not have any kind of English translation, and it's also based off of the original SNES Star Fox storyline. It shows some amazing fight scenes where Fox takes on the baddies, not to mention some amazing scenes where they're flying through space, blowing up spaceships. It is just so awesome. There's even a scene where Falco slaps the shit out of Fox. I love everything about this manga. Not only does Fox and his team look so vibrant and so well made, and each of them have their own personalities, and honestly, this is probably one of my absolute favorite art styles the Fox team has ever been shown in. Just god dang, man, the art here is just so shocking and vibrant and lifelike. I love it! Hell, one of my favorite bits is that inside the R-Wing where Fox McCloud sits, it shows him using an SNES controller to actually move the ship. I love it! The manga ends with an amazing explosion where the Fox team flies off to escape, as well as seeing Andros fly off into the distance as he escapes the explosion as well, with a beautiful final shot of all the R-Wings flying towards the viewer, and it ends, and it's just absolutely amazing. And after that, it then shows the actual game itself and some awesome old school panels of the SNES Star Fox. And that is the very last one. That was all of the, at least the ones I found, and the information I could pull from. That is every one of the Star Fox mangas and comics that there's any kind of information on online. But please, if you think I might have missed one, or there's one that I skipped over, let me know in the comments below, but I'm almost positive I got all of them down. Well guys, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you all have enjoyed all that you've seen, and that you learned something new about this awesome little bit of history with Star Fox. Honestly, when I jumped down this rabbit hole, going through forums and obscure websites and all kinds of things, I found way more than I bargained for, and I was shocked at the sheer amount of mangas and comics and tiny strips and one-offs that Star Fox really has. Now, I did say I had a surprise for you if you made it to the end, and it's this. I'm sure that with all that I've shown you, most of you, or not some of you at least, probably want to read these things, right? And I don't think it's fair for y'all to have to go through all the trudging and researching I did, so what the hell? All the comics, the mangas, everything I've shown you off today, everything I have compiled and researched is all down in the description below for you to read for yourself. That's right, every single one, both in the English translations and sadly the ones that aren't translated, are all down in the description for you to read at your leisure. And who knows, maybe one day we might actually get an English translation of the mangas and comics that I've mentioned today, and if we do, I'll be sure to update that list down below. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, subscribe, and comments. As always, have an amazing. Thank you for joining me with the lost mangas and comics of Star Fox. It was an absolute blast to research and just check out all that there was. And if this is the first video you see by me, why not hit the subscribe button so you can see more Star Fox content, because Star Fox month is just getting started and there's a whole lot more to go. So without further ado, Joystick signing out. I'll see you on the next one. Later, and don't forget to rock and roll!